in the field of multilingualism is on multilingual families and their self-construction. Spolsky claimed that parental attitudes to language policy depend in large measure on their assessment of their children's language situation. This assessment may be right or wrong, and may partly reflect what they themselves think about bilingualism and multilingualism. Slavkov from Canada highlights the importance of language choice in communication between parents and in schooling. According to him, we can observe progress in access, inclusion, and general enrollment in minority language education, leading to a new degree of minority multilingualism. He also demonstrates that parents do not always use the most successful strategies, while children make their own choices. Parents decide upon preschool and school practices, and the open institutional space offers more advice to the parents. In our research, we have found that parents are conscious about their rights and privileges. They use online and printed resources to give their children the best possible education. They want to discuss bilingualism issues with other parents, with pre-primary and primary school administration, and with experts. They invest time and money in the future, and bilingualism is seen as an important key to success. Yet, family language policies change over time. Most parents initially adopt the one person, one language principle, but very often change it when their children come home with friends or ask parents not to address them in public places in their home language. Despite all the knowledge about bilingualism, some parents believe that multilingualism presupposes that 3 languages are better than 2, 4 are better than 3, etc., and that using many languages means mixing them as much as possible. Nevertheless, it is right to commit errors when they can be avoided or not. Should every child born to a family with an option for bilingualism become bilingual? It is widely known that the inner and outer attitudes do not always coincide, and children are extremely sensitive to the sincere wishes of their parents. So we wanted to investigate the linguistic choices made by the parents and focus on the home language of the members of the Russian communities, and to find out whether Russian is the first language is maintained and transferred to the second generation. As you know, Russian is one of the so-called world languages, and there are quite a lot of native speakers outside of Russia, and it has also different statuses in different languages. For example, in France, the Russian speakers mainly come from the immigrant and mixed marriage communities, and the old white immigration forms a base for the long tradition of the Russian presence. In Finland, Russian is considered to be the largest immigrant language, and the next is Estonian. And then comes Arabic language. There is also a historical Russian minority. In Germany, the Russian speakers are, for the largest part, repatriants, so-called Russian Germans. There are also Kontingentflüchtlinge, who are mostly Russian-speaking Jews, and there are quite a lot of bilingual educational institutions. In France, they operate 2 days a week, and they are all private institutions. In Germany, there are several state and private Russian-speaking schools and many daycare centers. And in Finland, teaching Russian in different contexts, in immersion, in two-way classrooms, in bilingual schools and preschools is almost like the state policy, because there are a lot of such possibilities. So what do we know about different factors which influence the family language policy? So we know that the very big role is with motivation of families to maintain the language and to learn the language of environment. And in every country it's also about the stereotypes that the educational system as a very conservative institution has. For example, in Finland, which is a bilingual country according to the constitution, to have different strategies for the language maintenance in the family is very important, and everybody is taught from the school on that multilingualism is important, that you have to learn many languages, and starting from the next school year, English will be, and other languages will be started in all Finnish schools from the first grade on. So, there is also interesting that religious traditions are important for the language maintenance. In some contexts, it's usual to learn different sorts of religious texts by heart, and in others not. So in Finland, there are quite a lot of goals of multilingual education. They are all the time updated, and we also know quite a lot about what kind of bilingual speakers who have one of their languages, Russian, are available. We are monitoring, so to say, the situation with the Russian-speaking communities in Europe and behind, and in Finland we know quite a lot about ideas of parents behind multilingualism. And here you have some opinions of them as they were telling about their attitudes in the interviews we conducted and so on. So there is a very strong positive attitude towards learning of the Finnish language and English language and about integration into the community. And the Russian speakers are involved into the Finnish society, really. Everyone has some friends who are Finnish speaking, and they have lots of friends of children who are speaking Finnish. So this is I'm presenting some results of a study we conducted some years ago. It's about German and Finnish, and I will show you the newest results of our study of this fall in France. So parents tell in their communities to each other that multilingual education is important, and they are influenced by the opinions of other people when they make choices for bilingual education, and it's more important in Finland than in Germany. They are interested in quality education. It's one of the issues that is very much important nowadays. And many of them think that the majority language is very much important nowadays, that children have to learn the language of the environment as quickly as possible. Still, they also know that they have to speak their own language to the children, but they don't always follow it consequently. And in Finland, they feel themselves more positive about the Finnish society when they are allowed to maintain the language. In Germany, it's not so obvious. Very typical is what the parents think about the reaction of the children towards their own language. And in the new context, there are quite a lot of new questions. For example, should the child write with his hand, her hand, or should the child use the computer system to learn to write and read and so on? And these same questions are arising in all of societies. So the newest study is about the situation in France. We studied the language use in the families, and you see how different is the situation with the first Russian, the second French, and the third English language in France. We also had a list of questions we addressed the parents about. And their views about an ideal system of education are also different from what we have had in Finland and Germany. Most of the children study their first language at home, but quite a lot of parents are using supplementary Russian schools and other options. And we are also interested in learning about the use of computer, because a study conducted in Israel shows that even children who are under 2 years of age are using about 1.5 hours to learn something that is coming from computer. And nowadays we wanted to know what the attitudes of the parents are. And you know, we don't believe them, because they said that they opt for only half an hour of, they allow only half an hour close to the computer for their children, but in reality it doesn't seem that they, for example, take into account the telephones that they use with the children. And what we can teach children through telephone and computer is that what we don't know will bring them where. So, previous social linguistic research suggests that parental language ideologies and beliefs are crucially influenced by the parents' own experiences. In this connection, it will be particularly interesting as a long-term project to observe future developments and the status of Russian as heritage language. The linguistic choices that parents make for their own children are likely to be significantly influenced by growing up as bilinguals, and we will have 1.5 generation and second generation parents and second generation teachers of Russian as well. Their native level command of the languages makes them have a choice between the two languages that they know at a very high level, and it's important for the children as well. What will be the future of bilingual families where everyone is able to speak many languages? In any case, given a continuing influx of immigrants, the family language policy, as well as the state language policy, and as well as the policy in every educational institution must be adapted to the current situation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Elena. It was a very interesting overview, and I think that Finland is the example of a state where bilingualism, trilingualism and multilingualism is very well protected, and nowadays there is a huge migration from Russia and from Estonia, and all these languages are protected, and as I know there are the so-called home lessons every week so they can study in their mother tongue.
It is a little bit dubious about the teaching materials that the teachers use, because even in Estonia there are, if it is forbidden, but they still use some old textbooks from the Soviet time. And then we have very mixed attitudes towards the Russian literature, because it's not, it is one of the parts of the Russian-speaking identity. On the other hand, it's very old literature, and the moral aspects of this literature are not suitable for the modern children, I would say.
Okay. Thank you very much. Do you have comments?
Of course, but you know, what we have found out that if the parents themselves are positive towards bilingualism, they understand why it happens to the child, that the child has this choice, and they support their child anyway, by answering in their own language, by supporting the sense of what the child wants to tell them. And they react to the initiative of the child, not to the words of the child, so to say. And they also can show in their own language how to formulate this if the child wants to tell it in the minority language.
To speak in the mother tongue?
In the first language or in the second language, we prefer this terminology. So in the family language, yes, there is a strong tendency, at least among those who answered our questionnaires, because they are active in supporting their first language. We also, there is one student of ours who is now researching families who rejected the first language. And usually they say that it's their laziness. They tell that they were not able to speak their language to the children. So this is the first finding. Maybe more will come.